So it's a new year and I thought I would go through my Dotfiles setup. It's a bit of a tradition, so let's get into it. Not that much has changed in my setup compared to other years, but yeah, let's go through what it looks like now. If we start with window management, I've stopped using what's it called? Let me see. Amethyst, yeah. So I used to be a big Amethyst user for a long time, and I even built a lot of tools around it, but I don't know, it just felt a bit hacky. I kind of had to work around macOS and use a bunch of private APIs, and it didn't feel very smooth. So one thing that's been happening this year is that I've been trying out Linux. So the first distro I tried was Fedora, I think. So I tried both the GNOME version as well as the KDE spin. I think the problem is that my laptop wasn't as good as I thought it was going to be. I bought a Lenovo X1 Carbon Gen 12, I think. And I mean, it's a pretty decent computer, but I think I'm just so used to 120 hertz on laptops, on MacBooks. So going from 120 to 60, it just felt like everything was lagging. So I tried some other distros as well. I think what I liked the most in the end, I mean, I tried all of these different compositors, Hyperland, Sway, i3, and I mean, it's kind of fun, but to do actual work, I think I landed on Arch with KDE. That was a really nice experience. It felt like using a regular computer. But what I really liked about Arch was Pacman and the package management system. Fedora system is a bit weird. You have to kind of install different things from different sources, and I don't know, I never really understood that. Didn't have any issues at all with Arch. Could just install the latest NeoVim and the latest Fish with Pacman. But for day-to-day work, I really only use macOS. Mostly because I do quite a lot of design stuff, and Figma doesn't really have a story on Linux, so yeah. Anyways, that's kind of a tangent. So I've been using Raycast window management for I mean the last couple of years at least, I think. I mean, I don't use a lot of commands, but just to move them around, full screen, reasonable sizes, it's good enough for me. Then I have a new app that I quite like. Also, I have key bindings for every app through Raycast as well. So if you see Slack here, you can see it's Shift Command S, and for example my browser, you get the point. I also have this new app called Alt Tab, which is quite good if you have multiple applications or multiple windows of the same application open. So for example, here I have my terminal. I have one window here and then another here. I usually don't have this set up, but it's more common in other applications. Then I can do Alt Tab to switch between windows. So that's quite nice. So that's Alt Tab. It's free. And I think it might be open source. I'm not sure about the license. All right, let's get into the terminal. So last year I actually switched from using Kitty, which I had been using for many years, and I really liked it, to using Ghosty. And I don't really care that much. I mean, Kitty is really good, it's super fast, but I don't know, just Ghosty feels a bit more home on macOS. I tried Ghosty on Arch as well, didn't feel as good. Kitty felt way better on Arch, or on Arch KDE. But for macOS it's quite nice. I mean, I am using Tmux, so I don't use like their native splits and tabs that much, but sometimes I do. One feature I quite like is if you hit Control, Command and T, you can do this anywhere, I think. You get this kind of slide down menu where you can do like a quick command. So yeah, let's say ls this, and then I can close it, and then I can open it later and it will still be there. And what I'm really looking forward to is so Mitchell Harimoto is doing some sort of native Tmux replacement in Ghosty. So that's also why I'm kind of sticking with it, because I think that's going to be really nice. But for right now I'm using Tmux. I have a really minimal Tmux config. It's just a really minimal theme, and then the Vim Tmux navigator, so I can navigate between Vim and Tmux pins like this. Let me update these. And for the shell I'm using Fish. I'm using that for a few years now, and I really like it. I think they do a bad justice of marketing themselves. It looks a bit old and outdated, but it's like Seashell, but you don't have to install a bunch of plugins. You get syntax highlighting out of the box, you get auto completion out of the box. We can take a look at my Fish config. That's also really tiny. I really love the Vim bindings as well here. That's this part here. And then I have abbreviations. That's one thing that I don't think Seashell has. So it's basically like aliases, but instead of so if you do something like GC, which stands for git commit, in Seashell this wouldn't expand, but here you can hit space and it's gonna expand, and then you can assign things to it, or you can continue the command. I think that's way better. Sock side FCF. Sock side lets me just jump around to different places. in my system. I could not live without this, I think. Yes, let's see here. We talked about this. And the theme I'm using is one dark. I switched to it quite recently, but I kind of like it. Here you can see my roster config. I'm using Berkeley Mono as the font. And then shell integration with fish and Atom One Dark. So the editor I'm using now currently is NeoVim. I have been playing around with a bunch of different AI editors. So Cursor, Sed, Cloud Code, Open Code, all of these different tools. And I don't know, I'm a bit torn on these tools. They definitely are valuable, but I don't know. There is something about writing the code yourself still. I tend to go a bit back and forth here. I think when it's like really just boilerplate code, you have to write a lot of code. And you already have good primitives in your code base, like writing API endpoints or forms in React. It can be quite nice to just scaffold it a bit. But I think it's super overhyped right now, definitely. So I think what I would do right now is just have a pure NeoVim config, and then probably run Cloud Code or Open Code or something like that. Because running a separate editor like Sed or Cursor, I don't know, I just like being in the terminal, being able to jump around, run commands, looking at the Git log. I'm just so used to doing this. I've been using this for almost 10 years now. Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I'm gonna switch, honestly, permanently to another tool. I think the one that I liked the most was Sed. It feels like they're on the right track to make something good. Like it feels like good software. Like they literally built an entire editor from scratch in Rust. And you can really feel it. It's super performant. The Vim emulation is top of the line. It's the best I've ever seen. The keyboard shortcuts are really intentional, and they have like a source control panel and a debugging panel, and it's kind of starting to become an IDE. But the problem there is that the AI integration is really poor. I mean, they invented this thing called this protocol, I think, called ACP, Agent Client Protocol, which basically allows any editor to integrate a agent into their UI. Or at least that's what's happening in practice. That's probably not really what the protocol is about, but it allows Sed and NeoVim, for example, to allow their users to use Cloud Code and Gemini and Open Code. But I don't know, I think there's something else going around with these harnesses. I mean, the AI integration in Cursor it's not even comparable to something like SED with an ACP agent. So I don't know if they can solve that, and if they can get tab completion on the same level as Cursor, maybe I'm gonna consider using it a bit more. But right now I think I'm sticking to the terminal. I might check out Cursor's CLI just because my employer is paying like a Cursor subscription. So maybe this could be an alternative. I'm not sure how actively developed this is anymore. I haven't heard a lot about it recently. But maybe it's worth checking it out. All right, let's see here. So yeah, the editor, it's Nevim. I don't think there's a whole lot to show here. Not much has changed. I think maybe this auto command is new from last year. This will auto resize splits when the window resizes. So here we have 2 splits, and now you can see that these splits resize accordingly. Let's see. Yeah, I don't think there's a whole lot new. Still on LSP config and Mason. I've been wanting to try out the more native. I think they had some sort of more native LSP setup, but I think it does the same basically under the hood, and Mason is just a good way to install LSPs. So yeah, it works perfectly for me now. Don't think I'm gonna bother with that. So yeah, I don't think it's a whole lot more really. That's what the setup looks like right now. Yeah. All right, AI. Yeah, I think we have been talking a bit about this. Yeah. I'm a bit back and forth on that. Yeah, I think that's it.